Pangea Crested Gecko Diet is one of the most popular diets, and it's fed to animals all over the world. But you might have some questions about what you're feeding to your animal, and today we're gonna answer those for you. We're gonna start with questions that we've gotten frequently over the years, and then we're gonna answer individual questions that you've submitted to us recently. So let's get started.
One of the most frequently asked questions is that the label on the back changed. Does this mean the diet changed? The answer, in short form, is no. We did make some changes though, but they are in no way negatively impacting the diet. The first change is that we changed the vitamin mixture that was added to the diets. Previously, we had a pre-mixed mixture that we would add to the diet, but now we make our own vitamin mix. This is because we want to have more control over the vitamins and also ensure that we have the freshest vitamins in the mixture. However, there is a change. We no longer have mineral oil in the diets because that was in the premix, and we do not add that to our mix. Another change is from ferrous fumarate to ferric pyrophosphate. This affects a few diets such as apricot. The main reason is because the ferrous fumarate sometimes makes molding spots. To remove that issue, we changed to the ferric pyrophosphate. Additionally, in the future, we will have to make some more label changes because of state regulations. This includes having things parentheses such as fruit blends or insect meal, and we actually have to layer those out based on the percentage that they're added to the bags.
Long story short, we've made very minimal changes. Mostly we have to label things differently, and the few ingredients we have changed has just been to improve the diet and have a little bit more control. A question we get all the time is, what is the most popular diet? And the short answer is the with insects diet is the most popular. However, watermelon, fig and insect, and growth and breeding formula are neck and neck at second across the board. However, these are also really determined by individual communities, where some might be more popular with crested geckos, where maybe a fruit heavy diet would be more popular in the day gecko community.
Another frequently asked question is, what are these white chunks or what are these black chunks in my diet? The answer for the white chunks is it's typically potassium sorbate chunks that are a little harder and we can't sift them out, and coconut flakes. The coconut flakes are also a natural part of the diet. Additionally, the black parts are usually insect parts, and these are also very important parts of the diet. We don't want to remove any of these chunks, either the white chunks or the black chunks, because they contribute nutritionally to the diet, creating the complete diet for your gecko.
They're meant to be there, it's on purpose. Then there's another common question we get is, why is there mineral oil? But you covered this at the beginning a little bit.
Yeah, so the mineral oil is no longer in the diet because it came in a pre-mix, and we no longer do the pre-mix. We make our own mixture of vitamins, so we have more control over the vitamins and to ensure that they are the freshest vitamins for your reptiles.
Another question we get really commonly is, why does my diet go bad after a day? And if you can imagine fruit smoothies sitting in a tropical environment for more than 24 hours, it's not gonna last forever. So we recommend removing it after 24 hours because the diet is gonna change sitting out, and it's not gonna have the same food response as you might have in a fresh diet.
Yeah, not so fresh anymore. This also leads to another question, why does my diet smell bad? Well, after you mix it for a while, it can ferment, and that's okay, because if it sits out there too long, you just really need to change it. Yeah. But if you open your bag and you notice that it does smell funny, then you want to contact us and let us know the lot number so we can check to see if your bag is bad or not. Typically, there is no issue with the diets. You just need to make sure to keep them stored in a cool, refrigerated area.
Another common question we get is, why is my diet a different color? And this might change from one bag to another as we go from one season to another. All of the diets are made from fresh fruit powders, and there's some seasonal variation between those colors of the powders, but there's nothing to worry about. It is all still the same great diet for you.
Yep. And then another question commonly asked is, what is the right feeding schedule? Now there's a couple different answers to this because your geckos might be in different stages of their lives. So for growth and breeding, we recommend feeding daily or alternate with live food. If you're just maintaining your geckos, I would only feed 3 to 5 times per week.
A common question we get that's related to that one is, how much diet should I offer? This is also going to depend on the life stage of your gecko. Most juveniles should receive around 1/16 ounce or a dime-sized portion. Subadults should receive a 1/8 ounce or a nickel-sized portion. And adults should receive a 1/4 to about a 1/2 ounce portion. Sometimes you may need to add a little bit more, sometimes you might need to add a little bit less, depending on how much your gecko is finishing or the size of your gecko. And we often recommend feeding smaller portions more frequently to help with your gecko's metabolism.
Yeah, and we're working on making some other dishes to help you portion your gecko's food.
Yeah. Also, we have a great video we just came out with on this where you can check it out on our YouTube channel.
Another question is, how long does the powder last after it is mixed? Typically, the powder is good for 7 days after it's mixed in the refrigerator. But if it's left out, less than 24 hours is recommended for the mixture.
Another common question we get is, what diet do we recommend for non-crested species? And this really depends on the species, but we want you to keep in mind that all of the diets were designed specifically for crested geckos, and that's what we've tested them on, at least the most what we've tested them on. So it's really going to depend on what solution works best for you in your species, and this can often be more attributed to feeding response rather than a specific nutritional value.
Another question asked by several people are there any new diets in the works? The answer is yes. We have new flavors coming out that we're still testing, but also diets for other reptiles.
So those are a lot of common questions that we've got over the years, and now we're going to answer some specific questions that we've got from you recently. MEB9998 asks, why can't we freeze the diet? And we do not recommend freezing the diet for one general reason. And although we do not have nutritional data to support this, we do know that the crystallization of water, frozen water, will destroy cell walls, and we can infer that it might affect the nutritional value of the product.
Yeah. And another question, I guess this is kind of a more frequently asked question, is how long does my mixture last after I open the bag? So if you open the bag and the mixture is not wet, it can last 6 months if you just leave it at room temperature, but it can also last up to a year if you keep it in the fridge. We recommend keeping it at a stable temperature because fluctuations in the temperature on the diet may cause it to go bad sooner.
Another common question is, what is the development process like, or what research is being done to ensure that the diet is giving animals everything they need to thrive? This was asked by 503 Menagerie. Thank you for your question. We first come up with a formula for specific species with veterinarians and animal dietitians using optimal ingredients for digestion and absorption. We then test it on our animals for several years to understand how the animals react and grow to our diets. If we ever see anything concerning, we stop the testing and seek advice from the vet and describe what has happened to the nutritionist.
A question by Fire Golem Geckos: is there research for plant proteins being digestible/bioavailable? The answer is yes. There are several papers on this, and they are digestible and bioavailable. However, we do not use pea proteins for our diets for several reasons, and we will continue to use our products such as egg proteins and whey proteins because we know they are very good sources for protein being bioavailable to reptiles.
On Instagram, Sad Fanboy asks, why do you continue selling through Amazon knowing their storage practices have ruined several batches and killed geckos? This is the first time that we've actually heard this claim, and if you out there watching have any issues with our diet, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to make sure that we are serving the best diet to all of our customers to make your animals thrive. So if you ever come across any issues, please reach out to us. On this specific matter, we have not been made aware of this issue, and we are not aware the Amazon's food storage practices for crested gecko diets or all of the other natural food products, including many protein products that they serve, are being stored in a bad manner.
Yeah. And if there are any issues, just let us know right away. Kat Kondakov, I think that's what it is wondering if we're gonna sell to chain pet stores. We currently are not selling to chain pet stores, but more mom and pop shops. And this is because we want to remain a company that is for the reptile hobby and want to be readily available for the customers. Bringing in large chain pet stores adds another layer that we currently are unable to manage at this time, and we want to keep it so that we are able to interact with customers and, if there are problems, handle them right away.
Yeah, and our PangeaReptile.com is open 24/7 and our shipping's pretty cheap. Idyllic Eyelash asks, how do we actually know that this is a balanced diet? Have you considered getting your food tested through a third party? Also, what caused you to want to change the formula of your food and switch your own vitamin mix rather than what you were using before? It's a great question, a lot of great questions in there. Thank you, Idyllic Eyelash, for those. We did already cover the vitamin mix part before, so go back for that if you need to review for that answer. So how do we know it's an actually balanced diet? So this comes from years of research with our own collections. This comes from nutritional data. This comes from working with nutritionists and a couple other scientific resources like papers, as well as talking with the entire community that uses our diet to feed thousands of geckos.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the third-party testers.
Yeah.
Everyone who's using it.
Yeah, and as you can see on the back of our bags, you can see lab analysis. We do regularly test our diets, all of our batches, to make sure they're hitting those minimums. So we are making sure that our macronutrients are there and balanced with each individual batch.
So D&D Cresties asks, what makes your diet better than all the rest? Well, it's a lot of personal preferences, but our diet has a unique flavor profiles that encompass 7 different flavors actually, or different options to use for your reptiles to eat. So definitely can let them pick which one is their favorite. Also, we use whey proteins and other kinds of proteins that aren't found in other diets, and these are very important for your reptile as they are readily bioavailable.
Agnes Cuz Why Not asks, does your diet have everything a gecko needs to thrive? And the short answer is yes. However, this is for all of our complete diets. So our 6 complete diets are all designed to have all the complete nutrition that your crested gecko needs, but treat, our gecko treat, is not a complete diet, and so it would not fall underneath that category as having everything that your gecko needs to thrive.
Is there a problem getting stuff to the UK? Asked by Stuart7364. By stuff probably means the diet. The answer to that is yes, there kind of is some issues exporting our diets in general to different countries. And this is because there are laws and regulations for imports and exports of the diets because they contain dairy products, but also egg in them. So with more licensing, we could potentially get diets to other countries, but that still will take some time.
Yeah, regulations don't match up from state to state or from country to country, so it's not always that easy to just make our well-engineered diet fit into this country's rules.
Okay, this question by which alien is he was wondering, do you mix diets, Kevin?
Of course, yeah, it's fun to mix diets. It's kind of like making your own little cocktail or own little recipe. All the diets are designed to be complete in their pure forms, and occasionally it might make sense if you are trying to encourage feeding response for a specific diet to use a diet that you know has a great feeding response with your particular collection.
The last question is, what other fruit bases have you tried that either were good but very costly, or simply was a fruit the geckos hated? Has jackfruit or durian ever been tried? Asked by Hooves and Claws Reptihouse. We actually never have tried jackfruit or durian, but that's definitely an interesting choices to use. Ones that I can remember using and we've tried were guava, peach, and apple. But the main concern with these is figuring out the nutritional value of the fruits and making sure they're well balanced with the vitamins, creating a complete diet.
Yeah. And if you're interested in potentially giving us suggestions for some more flavors, we're happy to accept suggestions. We get them all the time. So leave a comment down below with maybe some other questions you have, and we'll just try to answer it in a reply to you, or let us know what diet flavors you would like to see in the future. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this content. Give us a like if it was helpful, and a subscribe if you want to get more content from Pangea Reptile. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.